and we knew the band was great, and we just thought the album would do good. Nobody expected it 43 years later or 2 years to still be popular and still be played. And oh man, it's a great feeling, you know.
Walking out on one of the most iconic metal bands in the world isn't something that everyone would do. But when you've got the backing of a man like Ronnie James Dio in your corner, what could go wrong, right? This is the inside story of the formation of the band Dio and the recording of the iconic album Holy Diver. Vinny Appice sat down with me to tell all, from a late night conversation at the famous Rainbow Bar and Grill to jamming in a London studio with a young guitarist named Vivian Campbell. This is the true story of how one of the greatest metal albums of all time was born. Chaos, creativity, and a mic'd up car tyre. I'm Paul Stevenson from VRP Rocks, and this is Vinny Appice.
Tony and Geezer and Ronnie weren't getting along. So at one point, Ronnie and I went to the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Hollywood and said, I'm going to leave the band. He had a record deal already. So Ronnie said, I'm leaving the band. And I went, hmm. And he said, I want you to come with me. I'd love you to be part of this. I went, oh, okay. And by then I was like 20 years old, 21, 22 years old. So I said, sure, okay. I don't think this is going to fail with a singer like that. And we're excited about it. So I told Sabbath management, I said, I'm going to stick with Ronnie, you know. So we started auditioning. Actually, we started playing together, Ronnie on bass and me on drums, of course, in the rehearsal thing. We had Holy Diver. We had dun da da dun 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 dun, and we had that already.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie wrote that, and then we put in some accents, and we didn't have the whole thing, but it was a skeleton of a song. That's what we started with, and then we auditioned guitar players in L.A. You know, a lot of them were coming out of GIT with all the speed playing. And that's what we weren't really looking for that. You know, we're looking for somebody that can play heavy chords and great solos and stuff. So we tried a bunch of people here and it didn't work out. So Ronnie said, let's go to England and find some players there. And he liked the fact that it would have been an international band,
Mm-hmm.
you know, me and him an American and get a British guitar player. And then we wound up with Jimmy Bain, who's Scottish. So it was an international band. So we went over there and we went to a couple of clubs. We went to the Marquee. I remember that. It was loud as fuck. Like, holy shit. I think it was Motorhead, you know. And then we went to another club. It was a reggae band. We just thought we'd check out all these bands. So I said, I don't think that's the guy. You know, dreadlocks and um, and we were in touch with Jimmy Bain, but we had to wait for him to come back off the road. He said, I know this guitar player in Ireland. And so Jimmy called Vivian Campbell's house at 2 in the morning, woke his father up. Vivian, I'm talking for Vivian. Vivian. And he woke his dad up. I think his dad's named Vivian too. Oh, okay. So he got Viv on the line and said, hey, man, this is Jimmy. Because they played together Sweet Savage, which was Viv's band, opened for, I think it was Wild Horses. And so that's how they knew each other. So then he explained that we're putting this band together, Vinny and Ronnie here, you know, in London. Can you fly down tomorrow and jam? So that's what we did. We flew him down, got together at John Henry Studios, and had the cassette recording, and then we jammed. And what was cool, we it all went well. I think we might have went out for an Indian meal, of course. And then Ronnie and we shared a room in the hotel, which was funny as hell. Because Ronnie would always read. He could read a book a night with the light on. He's reading. And I'm like, I can't sleep with the light on, man. It was like the odd couple. Funny. And then we listened, before we went to sleep, we listened to the tape, and Viv was unbelievable. You know, we liked the fact that he went into a solo at something we were jamming on, but he wasn't going.
Mm-hmm.
He played like this, a little bit of that shredding, And then he went into this Chuck Berry, like the chords. I said, God, that's cool. That's tasteful, you know? So that kind of was a highlight of the tape. And go, yeah, yeah. And Ronnie liked it. And then the decision was made. Okay, we got Viv. Now Jimmy just came along. I don't think Ronnie asked him to join a band. He was just supposed to hook us up with a guitar player. And he was there, and Jimmy's Jimmy, and he wound up being the bass player. So it was a great band. It was fun. Then we went to LA and we recorded in Sound City Studios, which is in the Valley, and we rehearsed there as well. It's like a U-shaped complex, and one side is the rehearsal, and the other side is the studios. So when we finished writing 4 songs, we got everything and drug it across the parking lot right into the studio. And our engineer was Angelo Arcuri, who we grew up together, and he wound up uh, being my drum tech in Sabbath, and then he wound up doing sound for Sabbath because he's really good. So after that, Ronnie said, "Well, give you a shot." And we brought 4 songs into the studio. We did overdubs, blah blah blah. We brought everything back. Then we wrote 4 more songs. But it was like a boys' night. It was like a boys' club every night at 7 o'clock. Everybody couldn't wait to get there, and smoked a lot of pot and shit. And I don't really drink, so they had drinks each night. And we did all sorts of stuff to that place. They let us do anything. They had pinball games. We broke into them and made ramps so you couldn't lose the balls, and broke the candy machine, So you want some candy? Yeah. One of those. They'd put holes in the wall. One time, my brother's band, the Vanilla Fudge, rehearsed next door to us. So we said, let's lock them in. So they're in the studio. So we had a little bit of a road crew. So bring all the cases. Well, all the cases, piled them up, and they locked them in. Then we ran in our room, started playing. So we couldn't hear them, but they got pissed off. They couldn't get out. But we had so much fun with that album because it was the first album. And because when you make the first album, you don't have to worry about repeating something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that sounds like that other song, and maybe shouldn't do that. So it was like anything went, you know, like the beginning of the song Invisible. Ronnie wanted it to start with like something invisible appearing and fading out, but we didn't have computers back then. So it sounds like air escaping, like a tire. So one of the guys, the crew goes, I got a spare tire on my truck. Really? Bring it in. So brought the thing in, the tire, and we mic'd it. I don't think anybody has ever mic'd the tire.
No.
And then we go, a couple of mics. Okay, you ready, Tom? Now. And he goes, we did it a couple of times. Then eventually put it together. And I don't know what other effect, if any, they put on it. So it was pretty funny. I wish we had we didn't have a camera and shit taking pictures of this stuff. So we mic'd the tire, and then there's a couple of backwards things on there in the album at the end, and that's because everybody accused Black Sabbath of putting backwards stuff
Yep.
on the record, and we never did on Mob Rules, and they didn't do it on Heaven and Hell. So I said, Ronnie, let's put something backwards. He goes, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. He was like a kid, too. Yeah, yeah, let's do that. So at the end of the Shame on the Night, he said something, and then they turned the tape backwards. So you had to do it. You had to physically turn the tape around. And he says, Crucify the Diver as the song's fading out. If you know it's there, you could hear it, but it's very subtle. So we just had a ball with that record. And then Warner Brothers artists came up with the cover idea, and the cover was brilliant. Still is brilliant. And that album's still going. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Came out in 83, like
Yep.
42 years ago or something. Who
It's
would have
like
thought?
like lightning in a bottle, really, when you talk about the incredible band, the incredible music, everything came together, the artwork, and I post a classic rock poll every single day on the VRP Rocks channel, and it was voted the best album of the year as well. It's still held in great esteem. So how does that make you feel when you still hear things like that being held up as the best record of that year, and the fact that it is loved so universally all these years on?
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel good. Obviously, you go, wow, that's incredible, you know? But we never sat in there and went, let's make the best album of the year. You can't do that. This was all natural, all natural. And the cool thing was Ronnie produced it, but he never told me what to play. You know, because if you listen to that album, I'm playing, I always say I play roles where no man has gone before. I start them in weird places. I just hear it that way and do them where it's unexpected. Most drummers will play, you know, 4 bars, then do a fill. I'll do that, but then I'll play 2.5 bars and do some crazy stuff that I felt. It was all feeling. And, you know, so we were just having a great time. And we knew the band was great. And we just thought the album would do good. Nobody expected it 43 years later or 2 years to still be popular and still be played. And oh man, it's a great feeling, you know.
Yeah.
Thankful for being in the right place at the right time.